Kenny, the Dukes are up 3 on Ohio State at halftime.
Yeah, I was just watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to trim down a little bit. But when you got into this business, did you imagine that you would have a Kenny Brooks coaching tree at some point and that it would grow the way it has?
No, I was just trying to survive myself, keep my job. But obviously, I'm very, very proud of my coaching tree. Obviously, Sean Poppy last night, Sean O'Regan tonight, Kim McNeil at East Carolina is my former assistant, Lindsey Edmonds, who's at Rice, former assistant, Jackie Carson at Furman, Jennifer Brown at Queens. So I guess I should be getting some Christmas cards, for all of that. But no, very, very proud. Root for those guys. Talk to them regularly about situations. It's fun to watching Coach O'Regan ran a couple of our plays. So it's just a lot of fun to be able to root. And I'm very proud that we've done something special enough that people can branch off and get head coaching jobs.
All right, we'll open it up to Coach Brooks and questions here. We're going to start with Hank Kurtz from the AP. I will unmute you, Hank.
Hey, Kenny, it's good to see that somebody else has a white beard.
You know what? You have to embrace it. People asked if I wanted to dye it, Hank, and I said, no, you have to embrace it. It's too much knowledge in this beard.
So let me ask you this. South Dakota State seems to have no fear. They've played good teams this year. They've beaten good teams this year. How much is that something you need to really impress upon your kids?
I don't think I need to impress it upon them. They can see it for their own selves. They know that South Dakota State's a really good basketball team. And I don't think, Aaron and his group are fighting for respectability. They've been here for a long time. People who know that they're a very good program. They're competitors. They compete. They play hard. They're disciplined. They play fundamentally good basketball. So our kids understand it. They know that they're not just going to be able to, walk through anything, regardless of what the number is beside you. And the teams that are left are always going to be good. So they're not overlooking them. They know that if we're going to win the basketball game, we're going to have to play extremely well. We're going to have to play hard, and we're going to have to play disciplined basketball.
How weird is it for you guys to face a player who scored almost as many points in the first round as your opponent?
It's not weird at all. I mean, everything at this point in time is all about matchups. They're a talented group. They're not just a one-person group. They can have a lot of kids who can play and can score. They're dangerous in that manner like we are. They don't have to rely on just one area. But they're well coached. They understand what they want to do. They're hard-nosed. They're going to get after it, and we understand that.
Third row.
Coach.
It's good.
Madison Van Walligan with Reaching the Summit. Kind of to go off your answer, we've heard multiple coaches allude to the fact that with SDSU you have two options. You can either double team Maya and they can kick out threes and shoot, or you can guard the perimeter and give them a path to the paint. How much is their balance and their versatility offensively a concern for you defensively, and how do you combat that?
Well, I can't tell you how I'm going to combat it because somebody else might figure it out. But we know it's going to be a battle. We understand that. We know that they're talented in a lot of different ways. And I don't think we want to try to do anything that's going to allow them to be comfortable. We have to try to keep them off balance a little bit. You watched the game last night. And it was a defensive-minded game from both sides of it. We understand that. But I just think that they're a physical basketball team. Physical in a way that sometimes you don't see it. They're very handsy. They're very strong with their hands. They get their hands on a lot of basketballs, and we're just going to have to come out and be ready for the physicality and understand that everyone on that floor is dangerous.
Mark.
Speaking of danger, you went to the NCAA tournament last year. You were quite vocal. You were really concerned about Florida Gulf Coast, despite the number next to their name. You really thought that was going to be a dangerous opponent. Do you get similar danger vibes from South Dakota State after seeing who they've beaten this year and seeing them last night?
Yeah, I mean, I know how good they are. I watched that game when they played South Carolina. I don't know if it was in December or January. They're not afraid of the moment. They're not afraid of whoever they're playing. I watched them play against Louisville and in the Bahamas. I watched them play against UCLA in the Bahamas. They're good, and they know they're good. But anybody who's playing at this point in the season is a good team, and they know they're good. So we really feel like we need to come out and we need to handle our situation and do what we do best. And then I think we give ourselves a chance to win. But we understand who they are. We understand the confidence at level that they have. Very veteran group who plays extremely well together, and they play hard.
Mark Ovenden from Dakota News Now in Sioux Falls. The Jackrabbits, when they play in the Summit League tournament, usually have about 10,000 people in blue cheering for them. Obviously, tomorrow's going to be a little bit different. I know you've been in both situations where you got crowds on your side and you've had people, you know, trying to make matters hard for your team. How much of a difference does that make? Because your kids, in particular your student section, they do really get into it.
They do. They're knowledgeable. You know, they don't just show up for free bacon or whatever it is they get. They're very loud. They're very loud. They know when to cheer. Case in point, we had Georgia A-Moore. We played against Nebraska this year, and game was pretty much in hand. And they were really rowdy and they were into it. And I'm like, and I didn't even know. And I'm like, what are they cheering for? And one of my staff members told me that, you know, Georgia was a certain amount of rebounds away from a triple-double. And they were knowledgeable to understand that. And when she actually got it, they just erupted. And it just goes to show you that they're not here just for their free promo. They're not here for any other thing. That they're really into it. And they're very knowledgeable. They're loud. And I do think that could be an advantage for us. I don't think in a close game, it could be a difference. You know, we've played in front of crowds like that. We played at Indiana for the WNIT championship, and it was a sellout, and it was a close game. And I think that crowd put them over the hump. And we're hoping that tomorrow can be a very similar situation. We figure it's probably going to be a tight game, and if we can get on a run and the crowd can really get into it, and it can propel us to, 6-0 run, 8-0 run, that could be a difference in the game.
Isn't it great for women's basketball, though, to have that kind of an environment?
It's phenomenal. I played at James Madison and played for a guy named Lefty Drizel, and he brought an excitement to our community where every game was sold out. Every game was sold out, and we got to experience that firsthand. I coached on the men's side for 10 years, and I watched. We played in front of, sellout crowds, big crowds all the time. I have 3 daughters, and I switched over to the women's side. And ever since then, I've been champion for the cause, for the girls to just be able to play in front of crowds like this, because year in and year out, I watch how hard they work. I watch how hard they work, how much they put into it, the sweat, the blood, the tears, the pride. And sometimes you walk out there and it's empty arenas. And it's heartbreaking because they deserve everything that their male counterparts get. The game is as beautiful. If you just come out and you watch it, you really get into it and you enjoy it, you'll see it. It's different. It's very different, but it's very enjoyable. And these kids work so hard. And for them to be able to experience something like this, I was so happy. I've been happy. I've been talking about it. I've been talking about Castle Coliseum can make a good team great, and they've done that really well this year. But anytime you can go out and, you don't want to play in front of 10,000 if they're not for you, but just to be able to have that experience, it just warms my heart. And I'm very happy. I'm very proud of what Hokie Nation has done for us. And I'm very happy our kids have been able to experience it.
David de Guzman, WFXR TV, Roanoke. Kenny, kind of a big picture question. Last time you were at the stage 2 years ago, COVID tournament, I know it was weird in San Antonio, lost to Baylor. Kim Mulkey gives you some words of advice after. If you could speak to the growth of the program since that moment, is that how you envisioned the trajectory would go since that moment? Yeah,
Kim, she came up to me and we had masks on, and she says, "I know you're smiling behind that mask because your team's going to be damn good." And she said, "They're just babies right now." And she was right. Georgia was a freshman. Liz was a sophomore. Kayla was a sophomore. I think Asia Shepherd at the time was a junior. And she said, "You just keep working. You guys are going to be there." And then she patted me on my backside and she walked away. But it was, at that moment, it was her. And it rang really clear. We weren't ready for that moment, but we needed that experience to get ready for that moment. And it prepared us. It prepared us for the next year, even though we bowed out early, but we understand what we need to do to get to this point and beyond. And so we have grown. We have grown. The kids are more experienced, but as opposed to hoping to win, they expect to win. And that gives you that confidence, and it gives you the opportunity to move forward.
David Cunningham, Tech Sideline. Kenny, you've talked about how smart this group is. You've also talked about how Georgia is kind of like your little mini-me out on the court. How has she played a role in your group's ability as the season's gone on to become even better than you guys already were at adjusting in game? And I saw, there was a scenario yesterday where she ran over to you and I think she explained to me that she was like, get Kayla the ball because they're helping, a certain way. How has she specifically been able to kind of help you guys adjust even better in game than you might have been able to do before?
I've always described our relationship as she's my mini-me. Somebody explained it a little bit better than I did the other day. They said, and it was a coach, and they said, what you have is you have a 53-year-old mind on a 20-year-old kid's body, and they're out on the court. And they explained it, and it was so true because she thinks just like I do. She knows what I want. She knows what's good for the team. The scenario you're talking about, she came over and she was very adamant about what it was. And when she's like that, I'm like, okay, just go with it. And that's the trust that I have in her because she sees it and she knows exactly what's going on out there and she knows what I want. And it's a luxury. It's a luxury because she's developed into our leader. We always felt like she was going to be, but now she's at that point. She just knows what's great, what's best for the program, and she's very humble. As well as she's playing, she wants to deflect and give her teammates a lot of the credit too. And when you have that kind of recipe, you're gonna be successful. But she's unbelievable. I thought she played exceptionally well yesterday. We're going to need her to play the same way again tomorrow in order for us to win.
We're going to go Mitchell, Hank, then Mark.
Yeah, Coach. You talked about how you played for Lefty Drizel, and I was just kind of curious, what kind of impact did he have on you and you becoming a coach?
Everything. He actually sent me a note yesterday, and I got it in the mail. Great job, Coach. Everything. Obviously, when I played for him, I'll be very honest, I thought he was the craziest man in the world. But I think I got to see a different side of him because he actually was the one who hired me and gave me my first coaching job. And my interview went like, he called me up, and it was a Friday afternoon. He said, Kenny. And I said, yes, sir. He said, you still want to coach? I said, absolutely. He said, be here Monday. And that was my interview. And I got to work with him. But I got to see him from a different side. Things that he was doing to us, we thought that he was doing them to us, but he was actually doing them for us. Very generous man. He made me a better player, but he made me a better person. And the way that he loved his family, the way that he incorporated his family into everything that we did from a basketball standpoint is my recipe, and it's what I do. You have to bring your family into it. But very generous man, and I learned a lot. I found myself still doing some of the same things that he did to us, to my kids, and with the generosity, but just trying to make them a better people. He made me a better man. He really did, made me a better man, and I owe him a lot. My biggest claim to fame with him, he was giving his induction speech to the Naismith Hall of Fame, and he got to a point, he said, I got two former players that are head coaches, and then he paused, and then he went somewhere else. And I'm thinking to myself, damn it, he's talking about me. And he didn't say my name, and I talked to him about a week after that, and he said, Kenny, I was going to talk about you in my acceptance speech, but I forgot your name, and he just kept on going. And I said, Coach, as long as you were thinking about me in that moment, that's big enough for me. But I love the man. I got to do something special last year for his 90th birthday. We did a Zoom birthday party type deal for him. They wanted me to be the representation from James Madison. They said, you're going to go on after Coach K and right before Scott Van Pelt. And I'm like, well, damn, this is a pretty big deal. And so I got to do that. And, he told me he loved me. I told him I loved him. And he's still keeping up with us.
Let's go to Hank here.
I remember your name.
Thank you.
So at JMU, you did things that hadn't been done there before. You coached the NCAA scoring champion, and now you're at Virginia Tech and a #1 seed. What's that pressure like? To make the best of it.
To make what? Oh, you know what, Hank? The older I get, I've learned to stop and smell the roses. When I was younger at James Madison, You know, there's an old saying that sometimes you get so busy making a life that you don't live a life. And all those teams that I would have, there were a lot of people, they would say, hey, remember that team you had in 2012? And I have no recollection of who was on my team in 2012 because after the 2012 season, I was ready for the 2013-2014 season. With this particular group, you know, I've made myself stop and smell the roses, enjoy every moment that I'm having with them because it's special to be able to coach an Elizabeth Kitley and watch her development and what she's done not only for this program, but what she's done for this university. It's special to coach a Georgia Amore. It's special to coach a Kayana Traylor. Having one season with T-Soul, I want to enjoy every moment with it. And that's been very enjoyable for me this year because, you know, I just really have stopped, enjoyed all the little moments with this group. I'll always remember it. And I know, you know, if somebody says, what about your group in 2023? I know exactly who they're talking about. Because you can't let life just pass you by. And this group is extremely special in what they do and what they accomplish and how they represent. And every time they get up here and they talk, you know, to a press conference, you know, I'm proud. And I'm proud because, you know, we've built this from the ground up, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Mark's had the last word.
Kenny, in terms of South Dakota State, what do you when you see them on film or in person, what do you see to explain why they're good enough to beat a Louisville, a Mississippi State, a USC?
They're very well coached. Very well coached. They understand their assignment. They're very physical, and they're talented. They are a unit. You know, that's why someone asked, you know, earlier about, you know, just the one person. They're not one person. They are a unit, and they play extremely well together. And a lot of their actions they do them so that they can have a counteraction. And we understand that. Physical basketball team on both ends of the floor. And they're going to give you everything they have. And like I mentioned before, they're not scared of the moment. They're not scared of, you know, what some people call like a Power 5. They feel like they're as good as anyone, and I agree. I think they are. And, you know, do I think they're a 9 seed? No. I don't think so. You know, watch some of the teams around the country and who have better seeding. I know they went through their conference pretty easily, and maybe that's why they got a 9 seed. But they're a good basketball team, and they belong where they are. They belong to have an opportunity to advance because they're extremely well coached. They're physical and they're experienced. So we're not taking them lightly. We know how good they are. We know why they're here, and we think it's going to be a hard-fought battle tomorrow.
Coach Brooks, thank you for your time. Best of luck against the Jackrabbits tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.
That'll do it for our news conferences today. Tech Locker Room is closed, and we will see you all tomorrow for the number 1 Hokies and the number 9 Jackrabbits at 5 p.m. Eastern Time.